everyone, welcome back to the Colcom Podcast. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Rose.
Okay, today we're going to look at another one of the topics that might be discussed at a Colcom. What's our topic today?
Let's talk about hometown.
Oh my God, I can't go a day without talking about my hometown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess so. Our first question is, where is your hometown? Describe your hometown.
My hometown, I would have to say, is Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
I moved around quite a bit in the States, but Milwaukee is where I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah. Describe my hometown? Alcohol, large people, cheese, cows, milk.
Okay. So I tell people I'm from Toronto, Canada, but actually I'm just from the city right outside of it, the suburbs, Pickering, Ontario.
Okay.
So Pickering it's famous for, it has a nuclear power plant.
Okay.
At the southernmost end, and a garbage dump at the northern end.
That's thrilling.
But it's very like Four Seasons, like kind people, lots of nature, and a highway that cuts right through the center. And
What's the population?
Oh, the population is about 80,000 right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just the suburbs outside of Toronto. Actually, it would be part of Toronto too, but then there's actually one of the largest municipal parks.
Okay.
So the Rouge Valley Park, which is actually 10 times the size as Manhattan Park.
Oh, so quite big.
Yeah. So it's a division line that cuts, and like there's a slope and a huge river. So they just said, why don't we just say this part is Toronto, and then this part is Pickering.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a lot of green.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's Canada. That's about it.
Yeah.
It's Milwaukee's lots of green, too. Lots of animals.
Good. What is the best and worst thing about your hometown?
Okay. So the worst thing is, it does have I mentioned it. It has the garbage dump, and it has, and it also has. Well, the nuclear power plant. It has its pros and cons. Obviously, it's a nuclear power, so it's kind of seen as like a dirty thing, and maybe like when people, it might seem like people like might mutate. Like when I tell people, "Oh, my hair fell out because I grew out near a nuclear power plant," but it's also a good thing because it's given a lot of people employment in the area.
Oh yeah, double-edged sword there.
Yeah. But what else? The best part, there's a lot of nature actually too. There's a good balance between rural and actually like nature. So when I would go to school as a kid, there would always be shortcuts, and I'd have to cut through a forest, so I wouldn't have to walk on the road. It's not like a concrete jungle like Seoul, but it's a mixture of two things together.
Gotcha.
How about yourself?
Yeah, I also grew up in the suburbs, so there was a lot of space and yard space for me to play around in, especially the neighborhood I grew up in was kind of in a cul-de-sac.
Okay.
So my parents were very happy that they didn't have to watch us every moment.
Yeah. Describe what a cul-de-sac is too.
Oh, sure. Yeah. A cul-de-sac is like a secluded, not remote, but off the main road kind of development of houses. Yeah. So it's
like a circle too.
Yeah, and it's usually in a circle. So the kids can get outside, run around, not worry about getting hit by a car, getting kidnapped, anything like that. Yeah.
Cool. We have number 3. What things would you take a visitor to see in your hometown?
The first thing that popped in my head for downtown Milwaukee is the art museum.
Okay.
It was built by Calatrava, I believe his name is, and he makes these very kind of skeletal, kind of white architecture. And it actually was featured in the 3rd Transformers movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a scene where they filmed inside the art museum, and it's got this like opening kind of
I'm trying to remember
some professional.
Yeah.
And that's all I know.
Right.
So
well, I'm going to say one thing. Well, Pickering is good, but Toronto is even better, is the harbor front.
Oh.
Yeah, so because Toronto's on Lake Ontario, the harbor front, there's lots of cultural events there as well. At nighttime, the lake backdrop with all the lights is very beautiful. And even the first week of July, there's firework festivals all through every country has like a different theme. So starting from Canada Day, the Canada Day fireworks, and then you have like Spain, you have the Chinese, you have South Africa, South American fireworks festival, all through the first week of July. So that would be one place I would take everyone.
Yeah, there also it's by the lake. Milwaukee is by the lake, so I would similar. The art museum is by the harbor, by the lake. So something about water.
Yeah, it's the air is always more fresh and crisp near the water as well.
Yep.
Do you want to read number 4?
Good. Are there any good restaurants near your hometown? What's the menu that you would like to recommend for the visitors? Yes. Milwaukee is known for food, especially bratwurst.
Bratwurst, which is a sausage.
Yeah, sausage taken from Germany.
Okay.
There's a lot of German immigrants that reside in Milwaukee. So number 1 would be some sort of hamburger, sausage, that kind of greasy American food.
Yeah. So Canada is famous for one style of food. Do you know that?
Poutine?
Poutine, that's correct. So every restaurant has that on the menu. So poutine is French fries, and then you have cheese curds, which is like little cheese nuggets.
We got that too.
And then you put gravy on top of it. So it's on every restaurant's menu. But the best stuff is actually you get it from a chip truck. So just a food truck on the road, and they give it to you in a foil pie plate, and then they just it's the greasiest thing.
Yeah,
it's but it's the most delicious when it's from like a small little chip truck or like a small little food shack, but instead of actually from a fancy restaurant.
The greasier, the better.
Yeah. And it matches well. Matches well with hot dogs as well. That like street dogs.
And alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, good anju.
Yeah. So I would say the street food is the strongest. Not really a restaurant, but.
Good. Are there any festivals in your hometown?
Yes.
Are there any fairs or expositions?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So, Toronto. I'll go in Toronto. So Toronto, we have the first week of August, the first weekend, we have Caribbean Festival, which is the largest Central America festival. Right, it's like reggae music. Outside of the tropical islands, the Central America. So that's a 2-day festival, and you have like a lot of like Jamaican food, and you have Caribbean music playing. Like Drake is always there celebrating.
Very cool. That's not what I would have guessed out of Toronto.
Yeah. Well, we have a large Caribbean population there too.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I do know that there's a lot of people who've come out and resided in Toronto. Yeah. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and then we have the CNE, which is actually, it stands for the Canadian National Exhibition, and that's the last week of August, and that's where it's an amusement park. So there's rides, but there's also fairs. There's food. It's a food fair. It's a amusement park. It's also craft shows. So everything, all these things that make up Canada, just in one location, and everyone's celebrating together.
Very cool.
How about Milwaukee?
The number one thing that popped in my head was Summerfest. Have you heard of Summerfest?
No, tell me about it.
It is a musical festival in the summer.
Okay.
Hence the name. And lots of big names go. They have a bunch of different stages for the artists to perform at. And basically, you get in for one fee. You don't have to pay different fees for different stages. Just go in, get drinks, walk around, have a good time.
Do you remember what time of the summer it takes place?
I believe towards the end. I want to say August, but it's been a while.
Okay. Like the Labor Day kind of?
Not that late. I want to say early August.
Early August?
Late July or early August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Number 6. Do you still live in your hometown? If not, what do you miss most about it?
You can see.
Hello. This question is, I guess, more geared towards the Korean the Korean members than us. What do you miss about it?
Being able to just start a conversation with any stranger. I think that's general with America, but especially the Midwest in Milwaukee. You can just, talk about the weather or just start chit-chatting with someone. And I think I definitely miss that bond the most, that you can just start making friends easier.
Yeah, that's one thing I do miss. When I was back home, I would, during the summer, if I passed someone on the sidewalk, they say, "Good morning, oh, beautiful weather," and having just, a random conversation with someone. If you go into a shop and you're paying for something, you'll have a conversation with the person on the other side of the counter too.
Yeah, there's something warm.
Yeah.
Feels like a hug.
It's very friendliness and all that stuff. Here, I don't even. If I go to a GS, the person behind the counter doesn't even tell me the amount.
Yeah, here you go.
It's like cart. Okay. Number 7, do you want to read?
If you could change one thing about your hometown, what would you change and why? We're going to get serious here. It would be crime.
Crime? Okay.
Crime. There's always been a big
problem?
issue in Milwaukee with crime. And I think I would love to reach out and try to get people on the same page because there's a lot of different pockets of communities. And I think that creates confusion and creates resentment. So I think it would be good for people to come together and actually find common ground. And I think that would help decrease crime.
One thing, I guess I'll get serious. Because you're serious, I'll be serious. One thing I'd change about Toronto is drug use.
Oh, yes.
Because there's serious drug, Canada, marijuana is legal, so you're allowed to smoke it. And that's fine, but it's the harder drugs like heroin and cocaine, heroin and crack. That really it's caused people to it's caused a lot of homeless problems too in Toronto. So I would try to fix that if I could.
Yeah. I apologize.
No. I'll read the next question.
Sure.
Is your hometown famous for anything, and what is it?
Yeah, I would say we kind of touched on that already with food and alcohol, but we can dive a little deeper into the alcohol topic. So most people, they know Miller beer.
Okay.
And that was from Milwaukee.
Okay.
They have a huge factory downtown where they still make and produce the beer. And you can go on free tours, get free samples. So yeah, that's the first thing that popped in my head.
Toronto, one thing it's famous for is CN Tower. So before that big building in Dubai, the CN Tower was the largest freestanding structure in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's I can't remember how many meters, but it me just being underneath and staring at it, I get vertigo, I get dizzy and scared because it's so tall and so big.
What other tower does it resemble?
It's almost like the Seattle Space Needle or even Namsan Tower, but much higher. If you go to Namsan, you actually see that it's humongous. It's probably twice as high as Namsan is.
Oh, wow.
And Namsan has the mountain included in its height.
Oh, so even double with mountain? Yeah. Whoa, it's huge.
Yeah.
I would get vertigo too.
Yeah, and recently, in the last 10 years, they've even developed a skywalk program where you could put on the harness and clip in, and you could walk outside.
Oh, hell no.
So, yeah. They do that actually at the Lotte Tower in Jamshil, but it's much higher.
Oh, I feel like I've seen that on TV.
Yeah, so the Lotte Tower has the sky bridge where you go from one tower. At the very top, there's the peak is divided into a V shape, and you can go from one side to the other.
Wow. So I'd have to process that. I don't know if I could do that.
I can't. I'm terrified of heights, so I can't do it. We have
Do you know any famous people who live or lived in your hometown, and who are they?
Okay, so Toronto. Drake. Obviously, Drake is from Toronto. Then also Jim Carrey is also from Toronto. Just running off. Jim Carrey is from Toronto. Mike Myers, Austin Powers, Shrek. He's also from Toronto. Yeah. Oh, geez. Oh, there's a lot of famous people from Toronto. How about from Milwaukee?
I know there are, but what I'm thinking about now is actually there are some popular TV shows that are set in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Did you ever watch that 70s show?
Yes, I did. Yeah. They've even brought it back. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's set in Wisconsin, very Midwest. The Fonz. Again, this is a deep pull. This is very classic. There's actually a statue of the Fonz.
Oh, really?
In Milwaukee. That's how they're proud. Happy Days was the name of the show.
Yeah.
Some older show, parents' generation.
Yeah.
And they're so proud of it. Yeah, there's like a bronze statue and him going like, "Hey!"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's lots of, I could just, if I could do a deep dive, but yeah, I would say, right now, the most famous person would be Drake.
Okay.
And then like an actor, you have, Jim Carrey, I guess those would be but there's other ones too. Number 10, how do you see your hometown growing in the next 20 years?
I would just say slowly. I don't think there's anything. I think there has been businesses that have tried to get established in Milwaukee, and I do know that it is growing. It being only an hour and a half away from Chicago.
Okay.
So almost like a satellite city of Chicago. So I would just say slowly. Nothing booming.
Yeah. For Toronto, I see we have like an old transit system. So it's over 100 years old. I think it's like 125 years old.
Yeah.
And it's gone through many stages. It's gone from like a bus, streetcar, and then the subway is even over 100 years old. But now like they're starting to expand the underground subway line. So I see that's going to be happening a lot too, just as more people are moving into that area and it's becoming larger and larger. Maybe another thing that might be happening with Toronto is because Toronto is a very large city and it has actually a lot of we're always trying to steal one of your NFL teams.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, but
I'm not partial.
Yeah. Well, so I think maybe in 20 years we might have like an NFL football team. So we'll be able to have all the American sports in Toronto.
Oh, that's cool. I'm also thinking that like hockey is getting popular kind of globally, but also in America it's rising. So kind of do just a trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We get hockey, you get the NFL.
Okay, I'll see that. Oh, that's a good trade. We have a lot of budget for hockey too. All right. Well, that's the topic of hometowns. Thank you for tuning in. If you have further questions about Colcom, you can visit them on their webpage at colcom.co.kr. I've been Jeff.
And this is Rose.
Bye-bye.
Take care.